Thomas, welcome to the Leanpub launch video for Securing Enterprise AI Agents, a field guide to bounded AI autonomy, agent SecOps, and MCP security. I was wondering if you could take a moment to talk to all of us a little bit about yourself and about what your book is about and who it's for.
Absolutely. Yeah. First and foremost, thanks very much, Len, for having me back, right? Okay. So
Yeah.
that's good. For anyone who might have missed perhaps maybe one of our last recordings, my name is Thomas of Vos. Um, Still kind of director at HL Technologies at the AI Labs based out of London, leading mainly the AI work in global financial services, but also telecommunications. Been building AI systems for the last 11 years, I think it is now. Shipping software for about 25 years, most of it in banking insurance, where if your system makes a mistake, somebody eventually will kind of files a complaint or perhaps maybe raises some kind of a fine. So, but the book itself is quite an interesting one to me, and I think that is definitely somebody who is into AI agents should be reading, right? It's called Securing Enterprise AI Agents. It's about what happens when AI stops being kind of that chat window and starts being something that can do something, an actor, right? And agents are moving out of demos into workflows. They touch upon code. They might be reaching out for data, systems integration. They might be looking at payments, tickets, customer operations, and the old kind of security playbook of kind of reviewing prompts and writing acceptable kind of policy stops working the moment the AI starts acting by itself, right? The message of the book clearly fits in one sentence, and I think that's a very important given over here, right? Or what the book is trying to tell the reader. Enterprises, they do not need fully autonomous agents, and I think the industry is actually trying to tell us different stories. What they need is banded agents that can act, prove what they did, but stay inside the policy and fail safely. And that's banded kind of agents to me. The book is written for three, four type of readers: the engineer whose demo is being pushed maybe towards a customer, the architect who's been handed a stack of agents proposals and needs to triage them. And then you've got the security and or maybe risk lead. That's your third and fourth group, right? And they've been typically been asked to sign off something they can't fully see. It's not really tangible as such. And the engineering director then decides where next kind of quarters platform investment will go, right? That's the audience or almost, Len. Yeah.
Yeah. And one thing I really like about the way you frame your books is, your CTO just asked you to do something or other. And it's like, okay, you can't come back with oh, the model would never do that, I think is the example you give on the in the book description. You kind of have to really particularly in industries like the ones that you have worked in and that you're an expert in, you really need to know. It's very interesting. One of the things I know from the kind of like, sort of more at the level of the small team kind of startup style phase, the great excitement that everybody's like, oh my God, finally we can do customer support with, kind of autonomously. And if you're serious, the first thing you think is, oh my God, like what if it does something?
Yeah.
What if it knock on wood refunds all the transactions or something like that because it got one refund request? So how does your book help people allay those fears?
Well, I think in one of the chapters I touched upon kind of the reference architecture, kind of a seven-layer kind of reference architecture. And if you take that, let's say, as a way to design and architect agents, then you're on the right track, right? So the seven-layer architecture or reference architecture within a trusted boundary at every layer, right? And one of them obviously is kind of the MCP security, tool poisoning, identity, and identity is important, right? I mean, think about permissions, roles, and what can an agent do, what it should be allowed to do. That's the agent itself, but also on how it exchanged perhaps maybe secrets, the or token, for example, and then the kind of confused deputy kind of problem life, right? That's where I'm talking about securing tool calls. I'm talking about MCP over here, and that's where I try to introduce the agent contract. This is how the agent should behave, what KPIs it should follow, what actually is it doing. And if you can really describe that nicely and neatly in a contract, then you can monitor as well using your traditional observability tools. Think about site reliability engineering. Then you know precisely how they're behaving. Are they behaving the way they described or not? Are they calling the right set of tools at the right given time under the right circumstances? And if they don't, well, you can kill them because then you have the tools to have kill switches. Or maybe if they're having timeouts or something, then you can build in a mechanism to completely control them. And that's where we go perhaps maybe to the older kind of mechanism around circuit breakers and these type of good principles. Here, indirectly, I'm talking about GitOps, right? GitOps, DevOps, but do it fully automated and have the right kind of evals in place as well. So that's the reference architecture that I'm talking about. It's bounded.
The last thing I wanted to ask you about with this book was, excuse me, the blast radius rule. It's a design heuristic, the one that you say you push hardest with your teams in the book. So, can you talk a little bit, just for a moment, to give us a sense of that design heuristic?
Yeah, so the blast radius is something that you need to understand, right, on how far-reaching it could be. It could be completely a ripple effect. So one thing happens on one agent, and you never know what's going to happen after that. But not only the kind of the multi-agent kind of behavior between each other, but also the tools it calls, and the tool can call back kind of the agents, and then you have kind of completely that blast radius. So the way to control is that by setting kind of the different permissions and the roles and the boundaries that these agents can operate in. And at some point you need to kind of contain that blast, right? That's what I'm talking about in the book.
It makes a lot of sense. Knowing that books out there are like this are out there for people to read makes me feel safer interacting with tools, and that very smart people like you are thinking through these problems and trying to teach other people how to handle them. The book is Securing Enterprise AI Agents, a field guide to bounded AI autonomy, agent SecOps, and MCP security. Thank you very much, Thomas, for taking the time to talk to me today about your really great new book.
Yeah, you're mostly welcome, Lennon. And you know what I think about obviously Leanpub. I think it's absolutely an amazing platform for authors to release books, and it gives as well readers that sense that we as authors can continuously work on a book and it's always up to date and fresh, in line with what the market is currently demanding at this kind of amazing pace we're going.
Thanks.
Thank you.